Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Josh Powers here from the Field Grade Leader. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hopefully, you were able to get the day off in preparation for Memorial Day and get a little bit of time back with your families. Hope that you guys are excited about today's session. Today is going to be a good one for all of us. So I would like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Jose Durbin. Jose is the director of the Holistic Health and Fitness team there at Fort Bragg for the 82nd Airborne Division. And today we're going to talk a little bit about fitness. We're going to talk a little bit about the ACFT, but we're going to talk beyond that. We're going to talk about holistic fitness and some ideas for some of you who might be a little bit up there in the years, the older crew, the field grades and above, and how to maximize your fitness. So Jose, how's it going? Thanks for coming on today.
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me. Pretty excited to be here today and talk with you about a topic that's near and dear to my heart and one that I really enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, tough questions coming at you right down the line that I did not prep you for. What'd you do for PT this morning?
Well, today actually was an easy day. Today was recovery. I took it pretty hard yesterday. So this morning, my wife and I went for a little walk. We took Duke, the German Shepherd pup, with us, and left the kids at home. So good mental recovery, good recovery on the body, and to refocus.
That's awesome. You know, and I think it's such an important point that we often look behind or look beyond as military leaders, as folks that are the combat arms folks, especially get a bad rap for this. Is we think that it's just nose to grindstone, work out hard every single day and kind of break your back over and over again. And I think what you do and what I'd like to hear more about is the other aspects of fitness that are important to us. So could you talk a little bit about holistic fitness, kind of what that is, what it means, and some of those other aspects?
Sure, absolutely. So the Army's holistic health and fitness system, it actually is comprised of five pillars or five domains, really. So one of them is the physical training aspect, the exercise. But the other four are performance nutrition, which is also very important, sleep, your mental readiness, and spiritual wellness. And all those areas are very closely interconnected, and deficits or challenges in one area could have pretty significant impacts on the other areas. So you could either kind of end up spiraling down, or conversely, you could spiral up, depending on how things are going in any of those domains or across the multiple domains. So yeah, physical training is one part, and we focus on that pretty intensely. But all those other areas are just as important. If you're not eating right or you're not sleeping, then you're not recovering in an optimal way. So you're not going to maximize the gains you get from, crushing it in the gym or the workouts you do. And then, if you have things going on in life, stress, or you have some emotional things you're dealing with, those are going to change your ability to focus. Those are probably going to impact your sleep, but they're probably going to also impact maybe how intense you could work out or the focus and drive you have. So that could also play into it as well.
Yeah. So
And that's just to scratch the surface.
yeah, absolutely. You know, the sleep thing is an interesting one, and you talked about kind of those interrelationships and interdependencies between the domains. So sleep is one that the majority of folks who are going to see this are probably senior captains, junior majors, some lieutenant colonels that are doing hard jobs. And so with those hard jobs comes stress. With stress, comes issues with sleep. So, do you have any tips or any tricks on how to sleep better, how to improve that specific domain to increase your overall fitness level?
Yeah, so that's a tricky one, right? How do you improve sleep? Because a lot of people, or at least the majority of people, I think, are open to hearing the message on sleep and why it's important. But for those that are challenged with sleep, especially going to sleep, that makes it hard. And if I look back at the common messages and the things I keep seeing over and over regarding sleep, one is establishing a kind of a regular or routine schedule. Always, obviously, anyone in the military, there's certain occupational demands. The mission comes first, so there's going to be times where you can't abide by that. But as much as possible, you want to stick to the same schedule. There's lots of things you could do in preparation. So as you get closer to wherever that scheduled bedtime is, limiting the amount of light in your house. So this would be the lights that are on in the house. So maybe turning half the lights out, kind of setting a dim setting within the house, within your bedroom. But also limiting screen time has been shown to be a big one. Just 1 hour of screen time by smartphone or iPad has an impact on the body's release of melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. And studies have shown that you could delay the release of that hormone by up to 3 hours just with an hour of screen play before you go to sleep. And then in addition to that, the peak amount of that hormone that's released is decreased by 50%, which then results in less REM sleep, which is your restorative sleep. So there's, as much as possible, people have that tendency, they want to look at, one last check of email or Instagram or whatever it is at night. The message would be to try to get away from that. Additionally, the environment you set up, everything says a cool, dark, quiet room is kind of the best sleeping environment. The body has to drop that core temperature in order to help facilitate sleep. So darkness and light, I would say, or darkness and coolness are probably the two biggest things that you might have control over. But then there's other things too, caffeine, alcohol. Those things will also impact your ability to sleep or the quality of the sleep that you do get.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking from experience in, in hard jobs, S3 and XO jobs, I think there's that kind of constant draw for connection after dinner. And I see Chris LaRue, a good friend of mine, just came on that. He knows what I'm talking about. You finish off dinner, you get out your BlackBerry, your iPhone or whatever, you're scrolling through that last email, that last, running through
Right.
slide reviews or whatever, and that draw to stay connected, that is, that last thing that you do that has an adverse effect on the rest of the quality of your sleep throughout the night, just like you described.
Right.
Yeah,
And not only that, but
no, go ahead, man.
Oh, I was just going to say, sometimes that last check then increases the stress level, right? Because you see something that all of a sudden gets your attention, and then that draws you away from being able to just relax.
Yeah.
And so there are some techniques out there too on certain meditation drills or breathing drills that could also help for the person who's experiencing stress that is impacting their ability to go to sleep. And there's some valuable information out there on that.
Yeah, and I know there's about 45 people watching right now, and there's some meat eaters out there, and I know what you're thinking. That sounds fluffy. Breathing, meditation, shutting off your cell phone so you can get some sleep and not just pounding a Red Bull and driving through another PowerPoint slide deck. But this is important stuff. And this is, it ties into who you are as a human being. And just like you said, if you are getting crappy sleep, well, you're not going to be a happy person. If you're not a happy person, you're not going to be effective. If you're not effective, you're going to have email to look at night. It's a vicious cycle that repeats itself, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, so we've got 52 people online. So here's what I'm going to ask from all you people. So give us a thumbs up if you're watching this live, and then in the comments, let us know where you're watching from. And then number two, tag a friend who should be watching this. Maybe it's the guy or gal who made the transition to field grade years by adding on a second iteration of freshman 15, and they need to talk a little bit about fitness as well. And so on that one, let's go over to the nutrition side of the house. Back to this being locked in together. It's part of who you are as a human being. With that is your nutrition. And I think what you see a lot of times is people that are too busy to eat well, that are getting a Snickers bar out of a vending machine,
Right.
or they're eating crap from the shop at or whatever because they don't have time. What are your thoughts? Maybe some general ideas on how to eat well, or how to keep a good nutritional program while you're busy.
Yeah. I think part of it starts with not getting overwhelmed, right? When it comes to nutrition, we could easily feel overwhelmed in that we have to totally radically change what we're doing. And it doesn't have to be that way. Start with the simple things. For one, eliminating some of the sugars from your diet could have huge effects. Sugar is an inflammatory it has an inflammatory effect on the body, and it doesn't enhance your performance in any way. So whether it's taking away some of the soda or maybe using a non-sweetening creamer in your coffee, there's some easy things to eliminate from your diet that could reduce the amount of sugars. I'm not a calorie counter, and I don't count my macros either. There's just really three simple things I do, and that I've taken some measures to be more deliberate about. One of them is drinking more water. It is amazing the impact on your fluid level and your hydration, on your performance, not only your physical performance, but your body. Water has a huge impact on the tissues, the organs within your body. It even has some effects on your mood and your attitude and your cognitive aspects, how you think. So hydration is huge. You've probably heard eat the rainbow in terms of vegetables and fruits. So putting a little bit more focus on that, fruits and vegetables. If you could increase that, I think that's huge. There's just so many benefits and so many good things with the fruits and vegetables. And then, like I said, just trying to lessen the amount of sugar I'm taking in, and I just my advice would be for people to start a little bit small, but there probably needs to be a little pre-planning too. You just can't get away from that. If you have a hectic work schedule, you have to pack food to take with you, so you don't make an unwise or unhealthy choice when the hunger comes on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that would be, I would echo that tip. It's just a little bit of preparation. You can do that a number of ways. That could be over the weekend, grilling up a bunch of chicken
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever, and then just packaging that up so it's in the fridge ready to go. So you just have to pull it out. But that little bit of preparation, I think, is what prevents you from scrounging in the middle of the day. Now you're hungry, you're eating a Snickers bar, you're tanking later on, and it's that downward cycle that we previously described.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's jump into a sore topic in some regards. I see this on social media, and people get all kinds of crazy on this one. The ACFT. What are your thoughts on the ACFT versus the APFT that we all grew up loving dearly?
Yeah, so I love the ACFT. Gone are the days where I used to always max my APFT. Those days have gone away. But the ACFT I think is great because it focuses on so many components of fitness that are important for soldiers to be successful, but that the APFT just did not get at. So that would be muscular strength, explosive power, speed, agility, flexibility. And probably another big one is that anaerobic endurance or capacity. These are all areas that are critical for a soldier to be successful. Yet the APFT just doesn't get at it. Another thing I found, I've done several ACFTs now, either training, certifying, or running them for the division. And it's just a lot more fun. I see people out there, they're energized, they're kind of competing with one another. You get to that sprint drag carry and people are totally smoked by the last sprint, and you see the quads go out, and sometimes people take a dive. I've gotten pretty close to face planting on that one myself, but it's a lot of fun out there. So I think it's great.
Yeah, we were joking during the prep on all the folks. There's like two camps. There's the folks that have, perhaps have only trained around the APFT, and they're like, that's it. I've just done that my entire career. I can run my 2 miles, push-ups and sit-ups. And then there's like this the weirdo outlier cult that picked up CrossFit. I see Leon Matthias is watching. He and I picked up CrossFit in '04, '05 type time frame in Iraq, and then continued over on our second tour, '07. We're over. We're doing box jumps on a broken refrigerator, and we've got this rickety pull-up bar in Iraq, and I joke that we've been training for the
Nice.
ACFT ever since. So on the note of equipment, though, you got a lot of folks now that are stuck at home, that aren't coming into work, et cetera. So any tips for prep and training for the ACFT when you perhaps don't have equipment on hand?
I think it comes down to creativity. Sergeant Major in my section, he sent a picture where he had cut open an old, I don't know if it's a soccer ball or a basketball, filled it with sand, and was using that as a slam ball to practice his throw, his power throw. I was throwing chunks of firewood out in the backyard, and the dog would run around and get into it. But there's all sorts of things you could do. Pull-ups, pull-up bars seem to me to be everywhere nowadays. But even if they're not, I don't think it's too hard to find a branch or to find something around the house, a 2x4, 2x6 in the garage or out in the kids' play set or something, and jumping on that and knocking out your pull-ups or your leg tucks. I saw a YouTube video, and this was on how to exercise while you're TDY. So like in a hotel room. And this female was doing, inverted rows from the bottom of a desk. And then she was using a door, and she stuffed a bunch of books underneath so that the door was supported and wasn't just hanging by by the hinges. And then she was doing pull-ups hanging from the door. It was crazy. I never thought of that, and so I tried it in the house, and it actually does work quite well. So there's lots of ways to train. You just got to be a little creative, and when people are motivated, they find a way to do something. So whether you're motivated by fear or anxiety about the ACFT, or you're just you're looking forward to it, there's lots of ways to get at it.
Yeah, so the great equalizer, it seems, at least in the comments that I've watched, is regarding the leg tucks. So do you have any like pro tips on leg tuck training, perhaps that's not just slamming leg tucks, but other ancillary exercises that might support that?
Yeah. So I think it kind of depends on where they're facing the specific challenge with the leg tuck, right? I mean, it is kind of a full body movement. So there's obviously the pulling through the strength of the back muscles, the grip muscles, the arms, but also the core and the hip flexors. So part of it's just troubleshooting exactly where it is that they're having the difficulty. I'm a big fan of doing negatives. So for a person that maybe is lacking some of that pulling strength of kind of partner assisted or using bands to help get them up, and then that real slow lowering all the way down, and you could work up quite a volume of just doing negatives, which will strengthen those muscles, and over time you'll get closer and closer. I've seen some people where they take a band at the bottom and they hook their feet underneath that. And so they're pulling up, and they're using the resistance from that band while they're lifting their legs. So they're kind of working those abdominals and hip flexors and strengthen them in that way as well. So I think, once again, I think it's one of those areas that just, using some creativity, but also now with social media, there's so many people posting tips and how to train for the different test events that you could find some pretty good stuff out there as well.
Yeah, and it seems the biggest complaint about leg tucks is that they're hard, and it's like, right, they're hard. So So train,
They should
do some
be.
core. They should be. It shouldn't be easy. Do some core work, and make your core stronger. Make yourself, a little bit stronger overall, and then they will be less hard. So that's seems like that's
Right.
kind of what we're going for, right?
And I think they've seen so far in some of the short period of time that we've been doing this is that the people who are adapting their training, whether it's at the initial military training centers or some of the pilot H2F units, they're seeing trends of people improving in that area. So once you adjust your training, you could knock that out. I'm pretty confident we'll get there.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk just a little bit again. I kind of teased this at the beginning, but as we all are not getting any younger, and you start to feel it a little bit more, as opposed to when you were a second lieutenant, you could get up and do whatever, and you
Oh,
felt
yeah.
great for the rest of the day. Now there's some aches and pains involved. So talk maybe a little bit more. We've talked so far about sleep. We've talked about nutrition. We talked about ACFT. Could you talk a little bit about perhaps the other aspects, recovery, flexibility, mobility, those type things that are more pertinent for the older crowd?
Yeah. So that older crowd, part of
Not
it
that
is
not that
that
we're
some
in that older crowd at all. Not even close. But
right.
for the others that are out there.
So for the others, then, um, part of it is there's sometimes a reluctance to get something addressed. Some people are just kind of really hard. They're tough, or they're really busy, and so sometimes they're putting things off and they're not addressing the aches and pains when it's more than just an ache or a pain. So part of it uh, is that early addressing the injury. So when you have a legitimate injury, you need to take care of that earlier rather than later. But there are some physiological changes that take place with aging, and we don't have control over that. But what we do have control is at what age that sets in, and the severity at how much it impacts us. So you're going to lose strength, you're going to lose flexibility, and you're going to start to lose some motor coordination over time as we age. But based on your exercise habits, you could somewhat reduce the rate at which those things happen. And by addressing, having a focused plan. So if you have some flexibility issues, stiffness in the shoulders or the hips, those are pretty common ones. Is there anything in your training plan to specifically address that, to work on those trouble areas? One of the keys to individuals who, you see the 80, 90-year-olds who are still out there running marathons and doing crazy things like that. Now, they probably have some pretty good genes on their side, but also they just never stopped. They just never stopped. They never stopped doing the things they love, the things they enjoy. So whether you're already exercising and staying active, or you're not, I would say get active. Start exercising, because the benefits of exercise are just simply irrefutable at this point. There's just so much research and evidence out there. But if there's something you love doing and you really enjoy doing it, don't stop. There's nothing that says at a certain age you need to stop that. So keep doing those things. And then using some good common sense. So as we get older, the exercise sessions maybe we once did take a little bit more out of us. So there's a little bit more recovery that comes into it now. You can still keep up with the young bucks, but going day after day is not quite the same. So respect your body and give yourself a little bit of time to recover.
Yeah, all really really good advice. Especially, I think it's a proportional thing, right? So at 20, you could go really hard 95% of the time, and as you increase in age,
Yeah,
that percentage decreases, and you have to do other things. You have to recover, you have to work your mobility, etc. You have to bring those domains up and focus on those, so that you can continue to run hard, right?
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And just when you identify an area that's starting to decline, that's where you need to put some extra focus on. And typically, what we do is we save it for the end of the workout. Well, the end of the workout, we got work, we got all sorts of other things barking at us, and so it's really easy just to be done. So, my recommendation is if you have a trouble area, that you do your corrective exercises, stretches, or whatever it is at the very beginning while you're fresh, get that out of the way, and then go ahead and focus on the rest of your workout.
Yeah, absolutely. Prioritize what's important. Well, hey, look, this has been an awesome session. I really appreciate you coming on today and spending some time with us. Any last thoughts? Any parting words for the group?
Yeah, just one. So with regard to H2F, that this system that the Army is embraced and is pushing forward, the success of that system really hinges on how much our leaders engage with their soldiers and put emphasis on this. And you don't have to be an health expert to do that. It's as simple as talking with the troops after a PT session. Why did we do that? Why did we do that workout? If it's a strength and power session, why are those components important? Making sure you get your protein and you replace your fluids so that you can start that recovery process right away. Talking about sleep and the importance of sleep and how that relates to their everyday, not only how they perform at work, but how they feel overall. And so I think it's just having those conversations, bringing all those little pieces together, understanding how important all of it is, and how important it is to our soldiers and how it impacts them. So that would be my parting thoughts for leaders at all levels. It's just to go ahead and promote that, and let's make sure that we solidify this in our culture going forward.
Absolutely. Great words. And I couldn't agree more. We ask of soldiers in training for and in combat to perform at the level of professional athletes. So that's the way we need to think about
Yeah.
how we train and how we get ready for it. So Jose, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this today. For the audience, thanks to everybody that has tuned into this one so far. If you're watching this live, again, give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And if you're watching the video of this as well, same thing. Let us know that you've enjoyed it. Hit that share button if you've got someone that should see the same content, and let them know what we're doing here. We've got a couple of other really exciting sessions coming up over the next few days, which I'll keep you posted on. And then we've got a special message this weekend as well, in honor of our fallen comrades, in honor of Memorial Day. Okay, thanks a lot. Enjoy your weekend.